possible. How could we have polling guru Sir John Curtice on the show without getting him up at Screeny? And John, I want to talk to you about a slightly different issue, which I know you've been looking at, and that is Brexit and changing views. So this asks people whether they think that Brexit was right or wrong for the country, and it tracks people over time. So here in 2016, the people who thought it was right were ahead, and you can see what has happened. That has slumped and recently fallen quite dramatically to 32%, while people who think it was wrong has gone in the opposite direction to 56%. So my first question, what is driving this? Is this just demographic change?
It's partly demographic change. Simon Hicks of the Open University Institute and colleagues did publish an analysis quite recently looking at the whole of the change from 2016 through to now, and argue that about a third of it was demographic change. Demographic change, of course, is that younger people are much more likely to be in favour of being inside the EU, so therefore much more likely to say the decision was wrong. Older people, some of whom I'm afraid have left the electorate in the last 6 or 7 years, are more likely to take the view in the opposite direction. So therefore demographic turnover is indeed gradually making us more sceptical of Brexit.
Does that explain that?
But it doesn't explain all that. Right. First of all, notice the changeover point. The changeover point was the 2017 general election. Theresa May's failure to get an overall majority in 2017 and the Conservative campaign at that election was the first point at which some voters' confidence in Brexit was undermined. But then the other thing to note is the way in which it's particularly moved during the course of the last year.
Yeah, what's this here?
And the start of the turn of the change on that is actually go back to the autumn of 2021. Remember those stories about supposedly not enough lorry drivers, and that's why we couldn't get petrol in the station, shortages, right? That's when all the polling evidence started to move people against. And then more recently, analysis I've done shows that basically amongst Leave voters, who you would normally expect to say that Brexit was right, they have become much less confident in the economic benefits of Brexit, and that seems to be resulting in fewer Leave voters now saying they would vote to stay out.
Leave voters are shifting as well.
And basically the problem for Brexiteers is that given the state of the British economy, it's very, very difficult to persuade people that Brexit is proving to be a success.
I mean, presumably a campaign can change all of this, but let me ask you, do these stats suggest that ultimately we will end up with another referendum?
It's by no means inconceivable, but of course at the moment, in England at least, there isn't any party who is even anywhere close to that position. I mean, the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats still not want to talk anything about rejoining, nothing about the single market. The Labour Party is beginning to talk about softening the Brexit deal to a degree, but that frankly is about it. North of the border, of course, it's different. The SNP are arguing for it, but at the moment, because of the position of the parties, the answer to your question is no. Us, the public, don't necessarily get the same answer.